Let's welcome the guest, the Honorable Moses Kuria, the MP for Gatundu South. Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on the show.
Asante sana.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you.
And it's also good to have you back in the country. We have been following your updates from the hospital in Dubai.
Yeah.
Also, even before you went to Dubai, from the hospital in Nairobi, with what happened to you. But just tell us that story. I mean, more than 130 days not walking on your feet.
Yeah, Eric, I just had an accident with some heating gadget, some South Korean heating gadget that went badly off. That's all.
So was it substandard? Was it accidental?
I think it's a combination of being substandard, but most important thing that we have medical appliances that are being applied by non-medical personnel. That's what I would. That's a big for me, the big, and that's actually the crusade that I want to take. That if you use there's no good or bad medical device. It is good or bad in the opinion of the person who is qualified, to administer it. So you cannot, even if you have got the best medical appliance, you go down the streets here, and then you just use it without guidance from the medical personnel. So we need to clamp down on everyone who is, because like now the company that sold me this gadget, they don't have a single qualified doctor. And they have got even wards where they are admitting people. They have got in Eldoret like 100 bed capacity, in Thika, in Muranga, in all these places.
Had they passed themselves off as people who are experts in this, that they have qualified
even
personnel?
when we called them to Parliament, I don't know if you followed the parliamentary proceedings when I raised the matter with the Committee of Health, they admitted that they don't have the experts. They said they have got experts in alternative medicine, whatever that means.
So what exactly is their licensure for?
That's the whole issue. They have no license. They don't have a license. They just say that their products are licensed by KEBS. We have got two bodies that are supposed to safeguard your health. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and the Dentist Board, which is now cancelled, and Farmers and Poisons. None of them. None. And when you ask the Farmers and Poisons people, they say that it's not within their purview. That all is, it's a big issue.
What did this mean for you, Mheshimiwa? What did it mean for you now, having had this accident and needed to go to hospital? So what did that mean for you? I mean, days away from work, having to endure this procedure, of course, the pain that went. What did it mean for you? I'm trying to make a link then between, not paying attention to requirements for proper medical practice and procedure in the country.
Correct.
And then the disadvantages that it has upon individuals.
Absolutely. It was, this happened on one afternoon. Over, let's say 3-4 hours. And, you couldn't tell, but I even came for an interview on KTN that particular evening when I was already having the third-degree burns. That shows that the damage is very slow coming. And to answer your question, it's 4 hours vis-a-vis 6 months, literally. So the reason from all this is that we need, and I'm a member of Parliament, so maybe I can have avenues for records. But to imagine how many people out there that don't have that kind of access of, So it's an issue that we need to deal with.
Sure. It just shines light then on the next thing that I would like to ask about, is that then you were put in a situation maybe then when you had to come to grips with a lot of people in the country then are suffering from.
Absolutely. I always try to, when I'm in a personal situation, I always try, because I'm a leader, I always try to remove myself from that equation and to put, that guy down there who doesn't know SpiceFM, but they are going through this. So it's a big issue, but also the holistic, not just how I got into the accident, but even the whole thing of healthcare in this country. We really need to do a lot to overhaul the architecture of healthcare.
What exactly was the issue from your own analysis of this particular situation? Is it an absence of law? Is it a lack of clarity on law? Is it a lack of capacity for the institutions? What exactly is it that would then lead us to having such kind of products being sold in the country?
That's a good question. And I took this issue with the Farmers and Poisons CEO. And he told me, the law does not, that's why we want to have an equivalent of FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, equivalent, so that you can be able to rein in all this. So we have got fragmented bodies that are looking after, regulation, KEBS and, PPB, the council, as opposed to places like in the US where you have got a single stop, of regulation. I said, I understand all that. You have told me why the law does not allow you to do some few things. So I challenge them, tell me which part in the law currently enables you to or authorizes you to allow those things to happen. So you can look at it either way. Because if they want to use the current regime, the current laws as they are, they can really take action on these things. I don't believe that we keep on implementing more and more and more laws. What happened to what we have now? And by the way, when someone tells you we need more laws in this country, refer them to the penal code. Ask them which part of the penal code allows this to happen. On a very basic level, even before we look for specialized laws. But we can't have laws for everything, Kenyans want to have a law on, coughing and walking, and it's not possible, If you want to take action, if you want to do something good, what we have is already sufficient.
We have a sufficient legal framework.
Yes.
To make sure that everything should be running smoothly.
Yes.
But then there are politicians such as yourselves, Mheshimiwa. You saw this when you were still in hospital here. People went and found a clip of you speaking at a public rally somewhere where you were talking about why should we have KEBS stopping importation of things when business people in this country want to sell?
Because they are better.
And you are there, and you are saying, look, if I want to buy something that is grey, let me buy something that is grey.
Can I ask you, Eric, how did the grey thing come to this country?
Somebody imported it.
What happens in other countries?
They circumvented the legal routes.
Absolutely. There's something called COC. The country of origin inspection. And that's what the problem in this country is that we assume we are the only country in the world. We need to benchmark with how other people do it. In other countries, you don't stop people at the port, fungua hii container, I look at what's there. We depend on pre-shipment inspection at those countries. So when you circumvent, when you bring something from China or from Korea or from some other country, and you fail to take the pre-shipment procedures in that particular country, if it is bad, let it not get to the high seas to come here. If it comes here, don't punish that woman trader there who is depending on that business to feed their children. I'm saying don't push the problems of the failure of government or people in authority to weak people. Yeah? Because what is it? Let's take a trader, a woman trader from Nyamakima, has imported phone covers from China. They were told before this container gets to high seas, it was inspected by bodies that are contracted by the government of Kenya.
And cleared
from there. When it comes here, say, what are you asking me now?
To confirm.
To
confirm that what you're actually carrying here is what was inspected.
Which other country does that? Show me one other country. Because trade is global. There's no trade of Yuagishagi. Yeah? Trade is global. So which other country opens, confirm, let me see? That is Stone Age thinking in the 21st century.
There are countries that do that, Mheshimiwa, but usually it's because they suspect
that there may be something criminal
happening. And it's random.
Yes, that wasn't quite declared.
And that is completely on random.
It is randomized.
Random, and it is sampled, and
Yes.
it is purely audit based.
Yes.
It is audit based. You know what was happening in this country by that particular time? Every container, open this container, finish with KEBS. After KEBS, go to KRA. After KRA, I don't know, go to who else. Yeah? And you know, the amount of losses our traders are getting. So there must be a balance, surely. And that is why we call for processes. I'm saying this because this is an area I'm an expert in terms of processes. There must be processes. Everybody must be good until proven
Bad.
otherwise. In this case, everybody is bad until you prove yourself, not proven, until you prove yourself. So the burden of proof is on a poor woman from Nyamakima.
But you know, Mheshimiwa, where the problem arises, if you ask me,
Yeah.
and what seems to be raising the question, because even as we talk about goods being inspected each and every, I'm sure there are goods that don't undergo that same rigorous process. So the question that comes to my mind as a layman is, what exactly am I seeing here? Is it that it's targeted? Are there some imports who people feel are associated with certain people that are being targeted?
Now you actually touch it where it matters, because systemic failure based on negligence and based on corruption. And what I am opposed to is that whole burden of systemic failure. You remove it from that corrupt guy. You remove it from that guy who is supposed to ensure that we have got simple, verifiable processes. You burden it on the weakest person on the chain link, yeah, who is that particular trader. If you fix the rest, which is much easier to fix it in all the other stages, then you'll not depend on that person. And by the way, people are common mwananchi. Want to do the right things. Yeah, they want to do
Largely,
the right
I
things.
would agree.
Yeah,
Largely,
they just set for them. Because you know what is the biggest problem in this country? It is not corruption, as you people say. It is not all those things. It is pure lack of systems and processes.
So,
Verifiable
looking at the
systems.
failure of these systems and processes, these have been things that have been there for the longest time. There are people who have grown old thinking about this failure. And then there are those who are in positions to actually right the wrongs that have been done over time. But then we still see that these things have not been done.
I just hope
you're
that,
talking about now saying, you know, why do we have to wait to change the law? Why can't we just step in and
absolutely.
sort out some of these things? Why?
Let me
Why?
tell you something. It is not a law, it's not a process, it's not a set of things, it's a mindset. And it's very much easy to point a finger at so and so and so and so. Until as a country we move our mindset to accept law and order. Can I tell you something? You know, I have spent some time in the last 4 months in Dubai. And, you know, in Dubai, everything is legit. You are allowed to do anything. You want to you want to break traffic laws, break. Nobody will come after you. Yeah? Whatever you want to do, you want to overstay on your visa, you just overstay. It's no problem. They have created a set of processes which is acceptable to everybody. That for them, they said, instead of coming to catch you in the traditional way, they touch your pocket, they hurt your pocket. So you get your fines and all those things. And they have spent a lot of time to automate what is already in the mindset. Because you cannot automate what is not in the mindset. What happens here? I can't believe that a judge can give a ruling against Huduma number, which is supposed to be the beginning of putting the foundation. You know, and you find even people, politicians, you know, politicians something like Huduma number. For me, something like Huduma number, having worked in other jurisdictions, even if it's implemented by the devil, I will support it. Because it is the beginning of the law and order.
But then,
Because you need to have...
In all fairness, this particular judgment was because of the thing you're talking about now, processes. That the process did not go as it should have. It was not coming against the Huduma number itself, but saying that the process through which this thing was established, which is the same thing that you're saying, Moses.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. Yeah? All these are vested interests. People in this country are investors in chaos. Chaos is very rewarding to some people. Yeah? You know, it is liberalization of you know, every country has corruption. Don't get me wrong. But corruption in other countries is controlled. And at least we know it is with so and so. In this country, corruption is liberalized. It's a free market.
For corruption.
For corruption. You know, because the food chain of corruption goes from the top of KICC, all the way down there.
To the foundation.
So there's so many stakeholders, from the guy in the, from the policeman, from the guy in the port, from the guy in the, in the inspection, to the guy in the office, to the guy, it's pervasive.
But
And that's what I'm saying.
Mheshimiwa,
What is going to change this country, really?
I've heard what you've said regarding the Huduma number, and you are right. It is a good tool. But how then do you have a situation? Because the gist of what the judge was saying was, you have a tool that is supposed to collect data, some of it very invasive, from the citizenry, and yet there is no framework for protecting that data. There's nothing within our laws that actually protects it. It took us back until something had to be created to ensure that, okay, now this has now been formed. The data is now being protected. So, as you say, it is a good thing, but any good thing without the check and balance, how good is it really?
You know what? If we had implemented the Huduma number properly by now, the pain of privacy, data privacy, could have been worked on backward. But now, let me ask you something.
We implement.
Maybe
we work on the data protection.
Absolutely, and that's what.
Please
that's
explain
what countries.
explain to me how
What I'm saying is,
Yes.
and I'm a project manager by profession. Sometimes you implement something. A pass mark of an A, even for an exam, starts with 70%. There's no, and if you get an A of 70 or you get an A of 99, it is still an A. In other countries, what they will do is, we are going to, as long as the pass mark is 70%, we are going to implement it because of what we call the bigger good, the bigger picture. Because now the time you have wasted. Let us say, for example, now you come now and implement the data privacy laws, and we've wasted like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. That time, after now you put the data privacy, the data protection, who is going to compensate Kenyans for that opportunity cost of those 7 years? Because it's our country. It's not that me and you telling we are all in one country. If we agree on this is what is the benefit, the principal benefit to be derived from this thing, and say, look, with all our problems, with all the data protection issues, we've managed, at least we could have been better in fighting terrorism. People have died. People have died because of terrorism issues that could have been avoided through Huduma.
But Mheshimiwa, without the data protection
I was
laws,
listening to some radio from one of the media houses. I was also driving here. So there's one media house, Kuria FM station, which is broadcasting all the way from Nyeri. So they were interviewing, common people about their problems and what they would want solved. So there's this guy from Nyeri, he's a border guy, and he was asked about what are your issues as border. Just when I was driving in here. And this guy said, after there is a tracking gadget that is put on the border, and this tracking gadget, if the border is stolen, we are at the mercy of the guy who sold us the border to go and tell us who stole this border. Please go and tell this guy about data protection. Tell this guy from Nyeri now, who could have gone to government if Huduma was working, this could have been solved. Go and tell him about data protection. Tell him there's some boiled potatoes called data protection, which has put your border at risk for 5 years. It is elite. They are elite games. I like to look at a bigger good.
But
we look at small issues, and we have a choice as a country. We have got abundance of choices to keep on looking at those small issues which people in air-conditioned offices and studios can talk about. But please think about that guy in Nyeri who cannot tell you who stole his border simply because he says, Huduma, there was no data protection.
It's the same argument that you've given about the gadgets that put you in hospital. It's the same one. Here you are on the one hand, you're saying, well, let's flout the process. Let's work backwards. Let's go into...
I am not saying we flout the process.
Let's work,
Don't put words in my mouth, Eric.
Let me withdraw flout the process.
Don't put words in my mouth because it's a very important issue.
What are you saying about that?
I'm just saying,
yes,
there's a way of implementing systems. And there's a way of implementing, large-scale projects. And that large-scale project follows the 80-20 rule. Whereby you say, let me focus on the 20% of the events that will give me 80% of the of the outcomes. And I'm not saying about flouting. I'm just saying there are things that you can be able to
You can tighten as you
implement,
go.
and then you know, this ship, you can fix it when it's sailing. It is possible.
It's the same argument that somebody could argue and say, we allowed these people to open up these facilities. They're helping people. We haven't seen any complaints. They've worked in other countries. We don't have any sufficient mechanisms to rein them in Kenya. We actually don't know who we are, whether it's a poisons pharmacy and poisons board, whether it's a medical and practitioners board, whether it's a council. We don't know who it is.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
let them start operating.
That's what I'm saying.
Later we shall find
Let me
out.
say something.
And figure it out as we go along.
Data is a foundation of law and order. Yeah? And why I don't mix issues, because my issue on Huduma is because it is a foundation of fixing even all those issues of counterfeit and the things that you're talking about. Because it is a foundation. And because it fixes the multiplier effect, because it fixes so many other issues after. Even for a fault, I'll close my eyes to it. Because if by fixing this, can I tell you something? I used to work in the Gulf world in my earlier years. When I bought my car, in the system, in the Huduma of that country, the system recognized. First of all, when I entered the country, the system recognized I've entered the country. When I bought a car, the system recognizes that I have bought a car, and this is my car. When I bought a dog, the system treats the dog the same way as a car. When I got my son was treated in the same way as a dog. You see the cradle to grave. And because of that now, so many other things, policing, inspection, because it's a basis. I'm not saying...
It's all harmonized.
Because it's all harmonized.
Did these countries have a data protection law?
Maybe after 10 years, somebody came and said, wait a minute, let us put this
This
data
system?
protection there. This here. But you know what? By that time already, the benefits were already accruing to the people. And I'm not trying to bastardize data protection. I'm just trying to say there is so many benefits that could be accrued first. You know what? If I would want to be a president of this country, yeah, for only 1 year to just implement this thing, and what are those people asking for 5 years? Just implement law and order. What a tea, yeah? Because we can't continue with this chaos whereby. Do you know something? I am just getting used to being in this country after 4 months. So yesterday I was going to a studio, and I found myself, oh my God, let me go back to the house because I've forgotten my mask. I just discovered here I'm going back for the mask because it's for protecting me. But I am still working with the psyche of Dubai that I'll be arrested or I'll be fined. But nobody puts you to jail. Nobody puts you to jail. But you hurt your pocket so much that you'll be saying, hey, wait a minute, I'll better love you. So, because also, even the best of people, and most people want to do good things, even the best of the people want to be reminded about some things because that system, that whole system. And from the rulers to the ruled, it will work so much in harmony because everybody would know their lane, everybody will know that I can't, democracy is a good thing. And really I am one of the people who have fought for democracy in this country. But also let's not take it too far as to harm ourselves.
For your talk to us through the morning on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter, text 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done
2040
right.
time. The conversation continues. Eric Latif Nduoko, the esteemed CT Muga, and the Honourable Moses Kuria, MP for Gatundu South. So, Moses, as you came back to the country last week, you gave an interview to our colleague at the Standard, Nzao Musao, and you were talking about the need for alternative voices to also be given space in the political space. So you have Azimio that is bringing together ODM, PNU, Jubilee and other parties. We have Kenya Kwanza with UDA, with ANC, Ford Kenya and others. We have Mount Kenya Unity Forum where you and others are part of. We have One Kenya Alliance and all. Who's this alternative voice?
Well, I think that we have enough voices now. I think we have enough voices. People are going to pick their jerseys and get to the field. So I don't find anything wrong with what is happening now. I have really no complaint against anyone. Really, I have no complaint against anyone. Kenya Kwanza have got their, their freedom. They have picked their team. They have picked their formation. They have picked their team players. That is their right. These other one, Azimio, they have continued to pick their team. They'll continue doing that way. Oka is there for us in Mount Kenya Unity Forum. We have got our agenda. I think, to me, Eric, I was just thinking about this morning. It's time for complaining is up. Pick your team. Pick your team. Focus on it. Don't begrudge people for their choices. It's their choices. You know, I was in Sabasaba in the street fighting for this moment. Yeah, I saw Professor Muthui earlier. We were there fighting for democracy and multi-partyism, so that we get to this moment when people can be able to pick. So time for complaining is up.
Right. Even as you've seen the evolution of this kind of politics in the country, whereby coalitions now seem to be the things where, you're able to get your best foot forward. Do you think that is the way to go?
Coalitions are important, but it's not necessary. It's not a necessity. It is good to people. If your sole mission is to seek power, then you have to get into a coalition for the purpose of seeking power. But is it everybody's objective to win power? As in terms of winning the presidency?
That's interesting.
There's some people who, it's like me. Being in a team that forms government is secondary. Protecting the few
What's your
things,
primary concern?
protecting my few things which are of importance to me, like the free enterprise. Like policies that create jobs. Yeah, that ensuring that you have got more money into the pockets of people. The slogan of my party is "Kazi na pesa," and it needs no more elaboration. Kazi for jobs. Yeah.
Pesa for money.
And pesa for money in the people's
It's
pocket.
interesting that you say that. So are you essentially saying that it is not necessary it is not necessary to be in power to get some of these things done?
Absolutely.
How
let's take other democracies. You can only have one party ruling at any one particular time. So what do the other parties do? They ensure that their policies, they see that. And I'm saying this because, I've been a member of Jubilee for the last two parliaments, 11 and 12 parliament. And I've seen that, as parliament, because you are Jubilee and you are royalties to Jubilee, there's nothing you can tell Jubilee. Muthui to a state house, you will be somehow the Riot Act. Now, for the longest time, I was a member of the budget committee.
Yep.
The budget, Eric and team, is like 3 trillion. You try to change 1 billion. Okay, let us break it down for Kenyans. We still don't know what are these trillions.
Even a billion is a problem.
1,000 billion is a trillion. So we have 3,000 billions.
0.6.
Yeah? 0.6. And we are trying to change
To move 1
one
billion.
from here to here. Whoa. Shida, problem.
Why?
And you got no, because you are upsetting the balance of the budget and what and this and because our budget making process is inverted. So it starts from the executive, it starts from treasury, then it comes to parliament. And when we're in parliament, we are told, no, you can't change this because there's sitting.
And yet you're a budget-making parliament.
We are not a budget-making parliament. We just go there to look for, more things to satisfy members. This what budget-making parliament?
But Mheshimiwa, party positioning is considered to be normal in politics. That collective, what do they call it?
Responsibility
dictates that when a party has a certain direction, then
Its
all members, despite your individual views, that maybe you fall in line.
You know what falling in line means? Falling in line means in the year 2015, I was sitting in the budget committee, and then there was this issue of 2015, 2016. Then there was this issue of Eurobond. I was sitting somewhere in the budget committee going through papers. And I saw a guy look at this paper and say, there's something here. Kamau Duga was making a presentation. Someone said, there's an issue here. Instead of asking there, he went out on his phone and I'm sure he called his party principals. That was the Honorable John Buddy. Yeah, who was a very central member of our committee. Because I was with John Buddy in the 11th Parliament, in Budget Committee, and the 12th Parliament. Do you know, I really miss the old John Buddy. Huh? Oh, the things that he could pick out from the budget. Now see the collective possession. See now the collective possession that it has done. It has robbed a guy, and I'm saying
Of
this
his independence.
because he was my junior in the business school. We were in the same business school. Yeah, and we were the brains behind, from the respective side of that particular committee. It has robbed the guy of, this country of one of the guys who is very talented at oversight, yeah, on matters budget because of this party position. And that's what I'm saying, just ensuring that maybe this independence of these parties, like my
But
party and other
your own
parties.
party,
Yeah.
will you expect a similar independence, or will you allow your members to be as independent as you're now saying?
Well, until you suffer lack of independence, you don't, my friend. You don't.
So you'll allow them.
Of course.
You're saying, so if Chama cha Kazi has members, in the National Assembly.
First of all, people are coming to Chama cha Kazi.
Chama cha Kazi.
Kazi na
The
pesa
slogan
is a
is
slogan.
Kazi na Pesa.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's good, he knows what it matters. So,
You're saying that your members,
yeah,
in
they have
Chama cha
members.
Kazi,
You see now,
if they go into the National Assembly and they sit in these committees, and one chooses to ignore some of these things that they are seeing,
can I tell you something? In Chama cha Kazi, it will not be possible. Because we are going to have a tripartite agreement, which we are going to sign up there with the people, binding the party, the candidate, and the people. Because that's another problem we're having here. So I would want parties which are now trying to form government to account for the performance of their counties. See, now you want ODM to form government, for example.
yeah,
Can you tell us the performance of the governor of Homaby? Because he's an ODM member. So that you say the way Homaby County is run.
that's
This
how
is a sneak preview
of how we can run the
of
country.
how the country will be run. You see the county of Nandi, which is run by a Jubilee governor, is run. But what do we find today? There's no party, and I think this is fraud. There's no party that takes responsibility for the performance of the elected leaders on that particular party.
I think there's something that you're saying here that's very interesting and important because of the fact that we keep talking about transformative agenda, etc., etc. But it would seem as though those who are clamoring for this position are doing it solely on the power agenda.
Yeah.
That we can have parties that are into the system that are making sure that certain things are being done. It seems centuries away from what is currently the case. How then will there be a bringing together of the two? That people are forming a party to address issues that they can keep a national government accountable to and for. How can we have that? Because up until now, I do not see, correct me if I'm wrong, where it has happened in the history of this country.
None. Never. It happened during the last years of Kenyatta's regime and the early years of Moi regime, not in the form of a party, but you remember the 6 bearded sisters, who by themselves they were like more than a political party, and they were saying we don't care about who is in government, who is not in government. They really kept the government on its toes. So it has happened in the history of this country, just not within parties,
from a party position.
Not from a party position. Now what we need to see now is a party, because if you form a party like Chama cha Kazi, there's 2 ways of achieving your agenda. You can say, yes, I'm going to get into a coalition to ensure that I influence the policies of that coalition should they win government, so that we act as an influencer from within. Or you can say now, I am happy to wait in parliament to be the alternative. And people confuse that as defeated opposition. You are defeated, you are a loser.
Yeah.
What about deliberately you say, I don't want to be in government?
Well, ask the question.
Yeah.
Many have
I don't want
raised
to be in
this
government.
question, Moses, that Parliament has been pocketed. So then it's very difficult to then have clear positions about what you want to see happening in the country. Is that true?
And that's why now people can't understand, like, you don't have a coalition. You are, since I came back to this country, that's a question I've been asked.
Are you joining
Kenya
Kwanza?
Azimio or Kenya Kwanza? Uko upande gani? Ndio mimi nimesema tuko upande wa Mungu. the other coalition, which is a God's coalition, you know, because people try to box you. You must belong here or here, and they come up with all, you know, watermelon. You know, it's just a way of bastardizing. But I'm saying we need to get the vitamin C of that fruit called watermelon. It can be good for this country also. Yeah, in the sense that, you know, that, you know, in whose hands are we safe? To ask, like my friend at work. It is in the hands of people who are going to say, I don't care whether it is this side or that side.
Whether this coalition
this coalition, that coalition, but I'm going to be the safeguard, to be the vanguard, of things that are going to protect the people. Because we have now socialized our people to believe that the only goodies, the only thing, it's because it's about freebies and goodies that you get because Kenya Kwanza has formed government. So nikienda pale nitapewa kabarabara. It's because, you know, Azimio has formed government, so I'll go to Azimio, I'll get a water project. So in between there, you lose a whole huge space that can be occupied by people who want to influence. Like now, for me, free enterprise, law and order that I'm talking about, I want to go out there and get enough members of parliament. And also get enough governors so that I implement that law and order in counties and show as an example to the rest of the country. Because this is where I find failures of even our parties. ODM has got how many governors? I think it's like 20. What a lost opportunity for them to show that this is exactly how a Kenya under ODM would look like. So do you want to tell me that some of the counties, I don't want to mention them, that some of those counties are the hallmark,
The shining example
of, you know,
good governance.
As you know.
So I hear you then when you're saying that it's important to have parties that don't seek to form government, but that seek to have representation. People being represented in these positions in the National Assembly, in the county assemblies.
And you know what?
Even as governors.
And you know what?
Okay. Yeah. But what is the downside of that? What is the downside of being this one party that has 20 members in the National Assembly? They're neither in the majority nor the minority coalition.
What about the Greens parties in the West, for example? How many Greens parties rule? Almost none.
Yes.
But they've been part of ruling coalitions.
They can be part of ruling coalitions, mostly after
an election.
After an election, because, you know, you need them to govern.
Yes.
I'll tell you, even regional parties. People talk about village parties. There is a party that I admire called SNP in the House of Commons, the Scottish National Party. It has got 55, almost out of 300 something, 500 something, almost 10%. Scottish National Party, dare you govern without the Scottish National Party? And so when now it comes to now the wheeling and dealing of now this broad coalition forming, then they are able to.
So the strategy is having a strong position in terms of members, such that whoever wants to govern will come and talk to you.
Members and position.
Okay.
Yeah, that you must be very predictable, and you must be very understandable. That this is what we.
This is ideology.
Ideology. Yeah, that this is what we stand for. Then you get the numbers. Then now there. Because who can govern without majority in parliament, for example?
Mheshimiwa, let me ask you this question, if I may.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. So would I then be wrong if I assume that your party will be looking for a certain type of person, a certain type of character, whom they are going to support as a candidate? Because it is this individual and what they stand for that will guarantee the sort of examples you're saying one will see as members of parliament or one can see as governors.
Correct.
So you're going to be strict about this.
Correct. Not just strict, because, you know, this is our everything. Our party position is our everything, and our party position can only be implemented by the people who are on our party.
Yes.
Yeah. So democracy is overrated. Democracy is overrated. You know. Yeah. Because democracy may not produce early creative. What about if it's early creative that I need? I need to go into the people and tell them, look, I as a party, I am the guarantor. I want to introduce the guarantor system in our politics, where the party says, if early creative fails, please.
Essentially, you're endorsing.
Hold us. You have to.
So the
and
people will
that's
come
what
and
I'm
ask
calling
the
a
party and
tripartite,
not the
a
individual.
tripartite
So then-
agreement between the party, the candidate, and the people.
That would require some serious vetting of candidates.
Absolutely.
In elections.
Absolutely.
And you may end up with those candidates who are not really strong in
And
terms
that's why
of
the
on the
party needs to
ground.
be strong. The party needs to step in for them. Eric, let me give you an example. I've done this experiment. I'm not telling you something from theory. Just over a year and a half ago, when I started the business of forming parties, what I was doing, because I've been in several before I ended up to where I am. On 15th of December of 2020, I started this journey, and I went to. There was a by-election in a place called Gatundu in Muranga. And I picked a young lady who I thought that, she understands this vision. She's zero experience. She had tried to buy, I think, 2-3 times, failed in nominations because of the virtualism. I didn't even know her. I just did my research and I said, I think this is the right person to represent. She had no resources. She had no experience. She had no nothing. I just picked her. Went down, told the people, look, this is our agenda. Hii barabara, hii maji, hii whatever. It is us as a party and me as a person. Yeah, you know, she beat candidates who are much more experienced. Because also here the problem with this country is lack of mentorship. You know, it's something I feel like crying about. You find young people, they're enthusiastic, they have the right ideas, but we just don't know where to start and how to start.
So you
and
believe-
that parties, not me as a person, parties need to fill into this gap and this void of being, mentors, to these professionals who otherwise would say, me, politics is a dirty game. I don't want to get into politics because to young people who says, I'm too inexperienced to be able to join politics.
Yeah.
So that is where now party need to come in and say, look, so you people of this place, this person may not be very experienced, but it's only because they never got the
chance and the opportunity.
So,
Yeah.
shepherd.
And we shall
Yeah.
do them
What about if they don't deliver? No, and that's why we come in. Tuko hapa. Yeah.
to make sure that they do
If
deliver.
she fails-
So you believe today,
Yeah,
Moses, that the person who won in that civic ward by-election in Gaturi,
Yes.
they voted for this person because they believe that the person has a strong party behind them. Has
Yes,
a party
absolutely.
that's going to hold them accountable.
And they have a
handhold.
party which says we are responsible. If I hear complaints from that particular place, I take it as if it's complaints from my own constituency. Yeah? And I sit down with that particular member and I say, look, why am I hearing this? Because it's not your name it is us who came and told the people. Yeah?
But it was
Yeah?
a new party at the point.
It was a new party.
So the people were actually not voting for that person or the party. It is Moses Kuria that they looked
Not
at.
just Moses Kuria, but because Moses Kuria gave them some guarantee.
And they had something. They could trust Moses Kuria.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How different is that from these other parties that we have?
Because they don't try to
When
guarantee.
Uhuru moves from KANU and goes to TNA, and people move into TNA, they're moving into TNA because of the person that Uhuru Kenyatta is
And I'm just
what he
saying, because
represents.
politics is evolutionary and it has to evolve. Like now we need munichagulia huyu na huyu. People need to ask a question. Kwa nini atawafanyia kazi?
Gani.
Then people need to ask gani, then they answer. Then now there is a one question that they're not asking, which I want them to add now.
Na asipofanya.
Na asipofanya. Yeah? What will you do? Yeah? Because that is really what is missing. And it's not just me. Really, I hope this can be adopted by all the parties. That you go there and guarantee people. Because when people cry, because the problem in this country is, and that's why I'm saying this democracy is overrated. In fact, I'm advising people to be voting for onions or pepper, chili, piri piri. So that when you cry, at least you know why you're crying, Huh? But this, you vote for people today, tomorrow, you start crying. Si mchague pilipili basi, hii pilipili ndio imefanya tulie. But you wonder were these people were they on sedated, Because it is just 6 months. Because where I come from, wale watu tulichagua, mikola ile tulichagua nani? We are in a parliament of 348 in the National Assembly. Only 12 are nominated.
All
The
the
rest
others
they
were
was- they
The
were
elected.
rest people were elected. Hii wanasiasa ni wabaya hapo. Who? Yes. I can account for the 12 who are nominated. But these others, they came through a process. Yeah? That is the process which I'm saying, because so far, you know, if it works so perfect, we have got people who are happy, people are not crying. We cannot defend that particular process and say it is flawless, it's working fine. Because, you know, there is something called, post-implementation review of every project. Let us now do a post-implementation review of our democratic project. And ask ourselves, okay, this so-called democracy nominations, you go for this nomination, you know. So what then after that? What are we derived from it for these years? Afadhali wakati wa chama moja tukiwa tunajua at least there was a Kanu to blame. Yeah? Now who is there to blame? You know?
Everybody else.
So,
Mheshimiwa, you raised some very important, I think, national conversations and national debates. And I think it's important to have it. You know, get to a point where
so
we
the next guy who
we
comes
start
here,
auditing.
especially party leaders, ask them, are you going to look at people who you are asking to vote for your party or your coalition and tell them, I am responsible. The buck stops with me. Yeah? Yeah? Tell them it's not that guy. We are in this tripartite together. The people, the candidate, and
the
as a party. So that if there is a failure, it becomes a personal failure, not a systemic failure. Yeah? But now, personal failure, systemic failure,
They're all mixed up. You don't even know who it is.
Me, I wanted to know when the president tulizunguka na yeye akasema, huko bunge I need to
Moses.
pass my agenda. Mnichagulie Moses. People of Gatundu should have asked him. So if Moses does not deliver, Mr. President, utatufungulia milango ndio tukuje to complain.
Thank you very much for
Are we going to open the doors for you? So now we compete. Now we should be getting up. By the way, I want parties who have been there to campaign on the basis of a report card for their elected members.
Moses, come again soon.
Yeah?
Come again soon.
I want you to ask,
please
call Baba, call Ruto, call someone, because all of them have been responsibility within their parties. There's nobody who has been outside. It was only me or some JB Muthui. Yeah, who can, all the other people should be asked a question. Please account,
for
Mr. Odinga, account for Asanga.